Right now, as you're watching this, a revolution is unfolding, not just in Venezuela, even more so in the nation of Iran. And it's a revolution that could reshape the entire Middle East. This isn't just about economics or politics. It's increasingly about literal survival. And as a result, the Islamic Republic that stormed into power in the late 70s is collapsing under the weight of its own crisis. And a crown prince in exile just issued a call to action that has these mullahs more terrified than anything they have ever seen. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, here to help you make sense of the madness with breaking news and analysis you're not going to hear anywhere else. So make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. 46 years ago, revolution engulfed the streets of Tehran, an Islamic revolution led by the Shiite scholar and activist Ruhollah Khomeini, a revolution that would change the face of the Middle East for the next 2 generations. Today, a new revolution has awakened. If the first centered around the chant, "Death to the Shah," the chants heard in cities throughout Iran today are, "Death to the dictator." Since December 28th, over 100 cities across Iran have erupted in the largest uprising since 2022. At least 31 protesters have been killed by security forces using live ammunition. Students, shopkeepers, farmers, entire communities are flooding the streets. Now, there appear to be 2 overarching dynamics behind these waves of protests. So, at one level, Iranians are revolting due to a catastrophic economic collapse. It's made daily survival nearly impossible for more and more people. The immediate trigger was the rial's historic crash to 1.42 million per dollar in late December, losing 60% of its value in 6 months. This currency collapse ignited 42 to 72% inflation, with food prices more than doubling and meat literally becoming a luxury most can't afford. The economic crisis stems from multiple compounding factors, right? Crippling UN and U.S. sanctions, the devastating costs from the June 12-day war with Israel, chronic government mismanagement and corruption, a budget deficit in the trillions of rials, and decades of prioritizing foreign proxy militias over domestic infrastructure. But none of that even comes close to perhaps the single most existential crisis facing the Iranian people, and that is their catastrophic water crisis. Tehran's 5 reservoirs dropped to just 12% capacity. 12%. 20 provinces have experienced the worst drought in over 40 years. Their president actually warned in November that Iran may need to evacuate its capital city of 10 million people. I mean, think about that. A nation with one of the world's largest oil reserves can't keep water flowing to its own capital. As we speak, Iran is literally running out of water. Hydrologists say the country is approaching water bankruptcy, a point of no return where aquifers or underground water sources have collapsed permanently and entire regions are becoming uninhabitable. Now, the reason for such a dramatic collapse is simple: decades of catastrophic mismanagement under the mullahs. The regime built massive dams on rivers too small to sustain them. They drilled over 1 million wells that drained ancient underground water systems, and they spent billions arming Hezbollah and Hamas while infrastructure crumbled at home. In 2021, water protests in the Khuzestan province turned deadly when security forces opened fire on demonstrators chanting about water shortages. In July of last year, a University of Tehran professor warned Iran could actually run out of drinkable water in a matter of weeks. And the regime's response? Silence. At least that's how people largely perceived it. Fast forward to late December, just days ago, and the economic pressure cooker finally exploded. The rial lost 60% of its value in 6 months. Food prices skyrocketed 72% in a single year. The Grand Bazaar merchants, the same group that helped overthrow the Shah back in 79, shut their shops and took to the streets. Within 48 hours, protests spread nationwide. Students ripped down posters of Supreme Leader Khamenei at the universities. Crowds blocked highways. Security forces responded with tear gas and, unfortunately, bullets. Dozens of protesters have been confirmed dead as of January 3rd, including a 15-year-old boy and a 22-year-old woman shot in the face. But to no avail. The protests are only growing, more massive by the hour. And if you thought economics and water bankruptcy are the only reasons people were rising up, think again. You are not going to believe the other reason Iranians are taking to the streets, but it's something that promises to change the Middle East, indeed the world, like never before. But speaking of economic collapse, let me ask you a very serious question. If you could earn consistent double-digit returns that are actually guaranteed by the government, why on earth would you continue to gamble on Wall Street? Because while Iranians are watching their currency lose 60% of its value in 6 months, most Americans don't realize that their own investments come with some serious risk as well. Now, I just learned about a method that's completely different from a good friend of mine, Jay. It's backed by government authority. The returns are set by law, and you can actually test the waters with as little as $50. No market timing, no complicated strategies, no dealing with tenants, just a couple spare hours a week. That's it, with minimal cash, but maximum returns. This is the kind of predictable, law-based yield strategy that institutions and hedge funds have quietly relied on for years, but most Americans don't even know about it. That is, until now. I asked Jay how long it would take to teach me. He said, less than an hour. Not only explain the strategy, but actually implement it right in front of me. He shows me how to do it. So I asked him if he could do the same thing for a few hundred of my friends. And Jay said, of course he could. So he's going to host a free live masterclass this Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern. It's all online, absolutely free. And he's going to show you exactly how the system works, why the government guarantees the returns, and how everyday Americans can get started with very little time and very little money. But it's live only, no replays. So go to turleyclass.com to register. That's turleyclass.com, or just text Turley to 72,000. That's Turley to 72000. Again, Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. If you want predictable returns without the risk and volatility that we're seeing destroy economies around the world, register now at turleyclass.com or text Turley to 72,000. This is the exiled crown prince of Iran, Reza Pahlavi, the son of Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, Iran's last monarch, the Shah, who was overthrown in the 1979 Islamic Revolution. For 46 years, the Islamic Republic has built its entire identity on erasing the Pahlavi legacy. Mentioning the Shah favorably could get you arrested or worse. But on January 2nd, Pahlavi did something unprecedented. He issued direct instructions to protesters. He called for millions to simultaneously take to the streets of Tehran and other major cities. He told them to create roadblocks on key highways to prevent regime forces from mobilizing. He even thanked President Trump for his support. And astonishingly, it's working. The protesters are now chanting something that was unthinkable literally just weeks ago. Long live the Shah. For the first time in nearly 5 decades, Iranians are openly calling for the return of the monarchy. The lion and sun flag, banned since 1979, is being waved in demonstrations from Tehran to Isfahan. It's a complete rejection of the Islamic Republic itself and a call to return to Iran's civilizationalist identity. In many respects, many are calling Iran's monarchist turn a civilizational immune response. The population rejecting an ideological state that nearly destroyed the material and cultural basis of 2,500 years of Persian civilization. And instead, they're reaching for the very constitutional monarchy that historically bridged their ancient identity with modern statehood. The Iranian monarchy built dams, they built railroads, they built industrial capacity. So there's clearly an economic incentive there, whereas the Islamic Republic appears to have only destroyed, particularly the water table, while funding Hezbollah. There's definitely no question that there's an economic element to it. But nevertheless, Iranians returning the Shah, it's not just nostalgic, it's not just economic. They're recognizing that civilizational continuity requires material sustainability, not ideological purity. What many people don't realize is that the founder of the Pahlavi dynasty, Reza Shah, back in the early 20th century, he named the dynasty Pahlavi after the historic term for the Persian language itself, as it was written during the Sasanian Empire that ruled during the 3rd to 7th centuries. It's one of the great pre-Islamic Persian empires that ruled the region before the Arab conquest and Islamization. So when Reza Shah founded his dynasty in 1925, he deliberately chose the name Pahlavi as the dynasty's name, making a direct linguistic connection to that pre-Islamic Persian Golden Age. So he wasn't claiming to necessarily restore the Sasanians. He was claiming instead to be their legitimate heir, but now for a modern age. So Iran's monarchy is a perfect example of this archaeo-futurist civilizational world that's rising all around us, and therefore we shouldn't be surprised to see a growing sentiment among Iranians who want a return to the Shah as the most prosperous and civilizationally rich path forward. Now, in light of this, the latest reports are that Iran's 86-year-old supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has developed a contingency escape plan to flee Tehran from Moscow if nationwide protests overwhelm his security forces or trigger mass defections. So the plan would involve Khamenei evacuating with approximately 20 close associates and family members, including his son, who's his designated successor. The escape would be triggered if Iran's Revolutionary Guards or police or army units begin defecting, begin refusing orders, failing to suppress demonstrations, which already has reportedly started to happen. Intelligence sources say Khamenei's mapped out exit routes from Tehran, and he's gathering assets, properties abroad, cash to facilitate a safe passage. It's a plan that basically mirrors the Syrian President Bashar al-Assad's December 2024 escape to Moscow when his regime collapsed. So obviously we'll have to keep an eye on how this plays out. But as we speak, something extraordinary is indeed happening in Iran. And it may just be the latest chapter in a rising civilizationalist world. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to register for the free live masterclass this Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern at turleyclass.com, or text Turley to 72000, that's 72,000, to learn how to earn consistent double-digit returns guaranteed by the government, starting with as little as $50. It's amazing. You're going to absolutely love it. God bless.